Hello again, it's Hannah here from Blue Ferret Boarding. It is August, you are all on your lolly days, I'm not. And I'm here this month talking all about, well, always talking about ferrets. And this month I decided to ease off a little bit from the seriousness, and we're just discussing a little bit more general stuff about ferrets. So this week I thought we'd have a really quick chat about ferret behaviour. Because for those of you who don't know, there's some terminology that we have that work for ferrets. So there's things like the war dance, which our oil is named after. This is the war dance oil, WD oil, stands for war dance oil. And a war dance is what a ferret does to invite you to play. And it's basically, they will look up at you, they'll be all dancey, all springy, and then they'll shuffle backwards really fast, and they'll bump into things backwards. I'll get you a video, backwards quickly, and that's a war dance. And it's when they're super, super excited, they're like, come and play with me, I'm just so excited, I just can't, I can't believe it. And that's what they do. Another thing that they do is what we call a duke. And a duke is a sound, and it will quite often accompany a war dance, but not necessarily. And a duke is just a little sound they make, usually when they're super happy, when they're excited, when they're content. They will make this little duking sound, and it's a lovely thing to have. And they're just like... And quite often when we let the ferrets out, they'll start by duking because they're happy, they're out, they're playing. All is well with the world. So you have war dancing and duking, that's two of the big things they do. And ferrets aren't actually very vocal past that. They duke and they will hiss, and if they're in pain they will scream. But other than that, that's about it. They're not like, you know, some cats can be super vocal. So I've got one of my cats who just chats to me the whole time, constantly in my ear. She's like a little naggy pants. And ferrets aren't like that. On the whole, other than when they're super happy, they are more of a silent creature. So a hiss then is literally like a sound you'll hear them do, and that's usually a hiss, and that is a sign of them being uncomfortable, scared, threatened. It's a negative sound. That said, some of ours hiss when we're playing with them and they start feeling a bit threatened and a bit like, don't like this now, don't like what we're doing, don't want to play this game anymore. And they will gently hiss at you, and that's their, I don't want to play this game anymore. So it doesn't necessarily mean something super serious with the hissing, but also be aware that it might be. So check your context. What's happening with the ferret? Why is he hissing? Quite often if they're put in a situation with a new ferret that they've never met before, they will hiss. Or if they're out somewhere and they're not comfortable, they will hiss. So that's what hissing is. And again, just be aware of it. And if your ferret starts doing it, think about the environment, think about what's going on, think about taking them out of that situation. And if you feel it's suitable and they're not too upset, you can pick them up and try and calm them down, stroke them, hold them to you, a bit of contact with you, holding them on your body if they'll stay. And if they're not at a stage where they're agitated enough that they're likely to bite, obviously, you can calm them that way, taking them out of the situation. Or if it's because you're fussing them and they're like, I don't want to play this game, stop fussing them. They've just told you they don't want to play the game. So think about things like that. The final one I think is the screaming, and that is an awful sound to hear. It's super horrid, and that generally happens if the ferret is in pain, literally. And the reasons for the ferret being in pain are numerous, but include things like if they are playing with another ferret and that other ferret is playing too hard and hurting them for whatever reason, they will scream. And they will often poop themselves at the same time. And I would say in that situation, take them out of that situation. They're not happy. It's not productive at all. If your ferret is pooping from being scared, it's not productive. Take them out of that environment. Again, comfort them if you can. If they're not too agitated, always be careful with an agitated ferret. Use your common sense as to when's a good time to cuddle them and when a good time to just leave them be on their own to calm down. Other reasons they might scream are sometimes if they've caught their leg in something, which does happen. And I'm going to say it, people might be like, oh my goodness, but this is a family show. But you know what? This is life. Ferrets have a bone in their penis, and it actually has a hook on the end. And that hook if they're climbing over something, can occasionally get caught. And I've had it a few times where I've heard one of the ferrets screaming. I've dashed downstairs, one of our ferrets, I've dashed downstairs and he's got himself caught. And he's been climbing over something and the hook, for whatever reason, has caught and he's pulling and pulling and it's not a pretty sight. And I've literally had to pick him up and gently unhook him. And then I've turned him over and I'll be honest, I've just gently rubbed the area so that everything goes back to where it should do. Ferret stopped screaming, ferret's happy enough. A little bit of cuddles, a little bit of oil, feeling a bit sorry for himself, but all okay afterwards. Obviously there's other reasons why they might scream and we don't need to go into all of those possible reasons, but be aware if your ferret starts screaming, it's not a good sound and it means go find them, go help them, go stop the screaming. Okay. So other than that though, ferrets are super affectionate, super affectionate, and there are some who don't like cuddles, but they want to be around you and they just want to walk all over you and just clamber all over you and use you as a climbing frame or using you as some sort of parkour area that they can just jump from and jump onto and land. And some ferrets are just super affectionate and just want cuddles and will literally fall asleep in your arms and snooze for hours. So that's some of the general behaviours of ferrets. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Let us know if I've missed any of the obvious behavioural parts of ferrets. I've just tried to go on some of the main ones to give you an idea. Any questions, any comments, let us know below. Like this, if you want to find out more, we've got a channel on YouTube at Blue Ferret TV where you can find all of these vids put together for your viewing leisure. Take care of yourselves and I'll see you next week for our final video on the general history information of ferrets. Take care. Bye.